Youjo Senki Season 2, Episode 1 opens with a haunting prayer for forgiveness from a being who has stained the earth with blood, only to cut sharply to the profane frustration of Lieutenant Colonel Tanya von de Geerchaf, a monster trapped in a child's body, cursing the incompetence surrounding her, while the world demands she lead it to victory. This is not merely another war story. It is a visceral plunge into the absurd machinery of modern conflict, where divine pleas clash with battlefield curses, where strategic genius is shackled by human frailty, and where the line between salvation and damnation blurs in artillery smoke and freezing snow. The episode rebuilds the emotional core of the series with biting precision, forcing us to feel the crushing weight of command, the black comedy of bureaucratic stupidity, and the chilling isolation of a soul who remembers being a salaryman in another world. Imagine inheriting a broken combat team on a merciless Eastern Front where winter devours soldiers, subordinates fumble like children with guns, and victory feels like a distant, mocking prayer. The atmosphere is bitterly cold, darkly humorous, and intellectually sharp, blending visceral combat with Tanya's razor-edged internal monologue. It is a masterclass in tonal control that makes you laugh at the absurdity, while feeling the profound exhaustion of leadership in a war that refuses to end cleanly. The episode wastes no time immersing us in Tanya's fractured world. A solemn prayer for guidance and forgiveness overlays images of violence, immediately establishing the central tension. A reincarnated salaryman who views religion as a tool, yet finds herself entangled in its rhetoric. Cut to the chaotic Eastern Front, where Tanya vents her legendary frustration at the Salamander combat team's incompetence. Infantry hole up foolishly, tanks charge without coordination, artillery wastes shells, and mages lack discipline. Her biting internal narration, "Our infantry are a bunch of dumbass. Our tanks are poorly trained dogs," reveals a commander stretched to her limits, burdened by the knowledge that her life depends on these useless troops performing. Political context unfolds through tense meetings and reports. The Empire faces a multi-front war, partisans in the north, the Free Republic in the south, the Federation grinding on the east, and the Allied Kingdom looming with air superiority. Tanya's team is a critical asset, yet its new recruits and stretched resources make every engagement a high-stakes gamble. The arrival of Federation forces triggers a desperate defense, showcasing Tanya's tactical brilliance, as she personally engages enemy fighters while directing her disorganized units. The combat is raw and strategic, but the true emotional weight lies in her exasperation and the reluctant pride when her subordinates finally deliver results through sheer, messy effort. Amid the fighting, Tanya's prayers, delivered with chilling sincerity, highlight her psychological duality. She mocks the Federation soldiers begging God even as she herself recites hymns, a subconscious anchor in a world that has stripped her of her old identity. The episode ends on a note of grim pragmatism. After a hard-won skirmish, Tanya toasts not to imperial glory but to an early end to the war, revealing the deep weariness beneath her monstrous efficiency. Tanya von de Geerchaf remains one of anime's most compelling anti-heroes. Her psychology is a brilliant fusion of cold calculation and simmering rage. She sees war as a meritocratic hell where incompetence is the true enemy, yet she shoulders the burden of leadership with ruthless pragmatism. Her growth is subtle but evident. She invests in training her team not out of sentiment but survival, and her prayers suggest cracks in the atheist salaryman's armor. Vulnerability flickers in her exhaustion with stubborn, stupid, and hard-working subordinates. Supporting officers like Major Weiss, Captains Ahrens, Maybert, and Thawne embody the human element Tanya both relies upon and despises. Their flaws create friction that forces Tanya's genius to shine while humanizing the war machine. Visha remains a steady, loyal anchor, her concern a quiet counterpoint to Tanya's cynicism. The main emotional theme is the absurdity and isolation of command in an irrational war. Hidden sub-themes include the hypocrisy of faith in conflict, the gap between theory and battlefield reality, the cost of elastic defense in under-resourced conditions, and the lingering salaryman's pragmatism clashing with a world of miracles and monsters. There is no romance here, only the tense chemistry of hierarchy and the nostalgia for a simpler corporate life that Tanya can never reclaim. Healing is absent. Instead, we witness the grinding machinery of adaptation through sheer will. Pacing is relentless yet deliberate. Strategic frustration builds to explosive combat, then releases into weary reflection. The snowy Eastern Front creates a bleak, beautiful atmosphere where white expanses swallow lives and sound. Tanya's internal monologue provides a sharp, intimate counterpoint to the chaos, functioning like a dark choral narration. Artillery barrages and aerial dogfights are viscerally rendered, but the emotional rhythm shines in quiet moments of prayer and command tent debriefs, where silence speaks volumes about the weight of responsibility. The opening prayer sequence is masterful because it immediately establishes Tanya's internal conflict, blending sacred language with profane reality in a way that feels both ironic and deeply revealing. The command tent dressing down is peak black comedy and psychological insight, as Tanya's blistering critique exposes not just her subordinates' flaws but the systemic failures of war itself, making her frustration palpably relatable. The aerial and ground combat demonstration shines because it showcases Tanya's tactical superiority while highlighting the growth potential in her messy team, turning potential disaster into a hard-earned victory that feels earned rather than inevitable. Finally, the closing toast to an early end to the war lingers emotionally because it strips away propaganda, revealing Tanya's underlying desire for rational peace amid the madness, a quiet vulnerability that humanizes the devil of the Rhine. Season 2 Episode 1 is a ferocious, intelligent return that deepens Tanya's legend while reminding us why Youjo Senki stands apart. It treats war as the ultimate absurd workplace, where genius is wasted on fools and prayers are just another tactical tool. Through blistering strategy, dark humor, and unflinching psychological observation, the episode makes you feel the freezing Eastern Front in your bones and the impossible weight of command on your shoulders. Tanya remains a magnetic force of nature, brilliant, terrifying, and strangely sympathetic. This is premium military anime that respects your intelligence while delivering visceral thrills and lingering existential questions. The Salamander combat team is back, and the war grows only more merciless. You will be counting the days until the next dispatch from the front.